Hello everyone, welcome. So here in this video, we are going to learn how to analyze the relationship between two variables. Let me write that down. We are analyzing the relationship between two variables. And we'll be analyzing the relationship using this example given here. So let's read through the question. Is there a relationship between autism and what an infant is fed? So you can see there are two variables. The first thing is we are looking at autism, and the second thing is what an infant is fed here. What an infant is fed. So clearly, these two variables are qualitative variables. Autism and also what an infant is fed, these are qualitative variables because the data for these two variables are non-numerical. For example, here when you look at the first variable, autism, so when you check or when you perform a survey, you'll check whether they have autism or not. So the data will be yes or no. Okay, so the data will be yes or no. And you can see these are non-numerical data. Similarly, what they are feeding, okay, what an infant is fed. So if you look at the feeding, the first one, if you look at the data, breastfeeding, denoted by B here, non-numerical data. Formula with DHA or ARA, denoted by formula with, so it is FW. That is also the data and it's non-numerical. And the third one, formula without DHA or ARA, that is formula without FWO, that is non-numerical. So clearly, the data is non-numerical. So we're looking at qualitative data, and it is for two different variables. One is for autism, other one is what an infant is fed. So to determine if there is a relationship, a researcher is asked, or a researcher asked mothers of autistic and non-autistic children to say what they fed their infant, and the data is here. And we have to answer these two questions. So in the first part, we need to fill these gaps. The data were collected for dash or blank. The correct graph is to make blank. So here you can clearly see that the data is collected for two qualitative data. One is autism, other one is what an infant is fed. So for the first blank, what I can write is the data were collected for two qualitative. Qualitative data. Okay. And the correct graph is to make, so you know that when the data is qualitative or non-numerical, we make the bar diagram, but here we have two variables. So this can be side by side bar chart or bar diagram. Side by side bar chart or bar diagram. That is what we should be drawing. So now in second part, we are asked to actually draw the bar diagram for the above data. Okay, for the above data, we have to draw the bar diagram. Okay, with the feeding group by autism. So what we'll do is, because we are drawing the bar diagram, we need to draw the X and the Y axis. So let's first do that. So horizontal axis is the X axis. So what I'm going to do is, along the X axis, I am going to write the feeding. Okay, I'm going to write the feeding or what an infant is fed. Now along the Y axis again, we need the vertical arrow for the Y axis, just like that. And along the vertical axis, I'm going to write down the frequencies. frequencies. So if you look at these numbers here, okay, 10, 10, 38, 22, 64, 10, you can see the highest number is 64. So maybe I have to go up to 60. So if I count by 10, so 20, 30, 40, 50, and then 60. This is 10. So from 10, we can go all the way up to 60. You can fit those numbers in there. Let me write all those numbers: 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. So first, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create the first group. This is a side-by-side bar chart. So I need to have the first data values from first variable over here. So that is, let's do this feeding habit. Okay. So if we look at the feeding, we have the breastfeeding denoted by B, and then formula with, so that is denoted as FW, and then formula without, just like that. And then in the other group, we need the other values because we are grouping by the, you can see whether there is the autism or not. Okay. So for all these, let's say for all these, there is the autism. Okay, you have breastfeeding, but you have autism. Similarly, you have formula with DHA or ARA, and you have the autism. Without, and also you have the autism. Now we are going to write the same three values here. Okay, same three values here, but this is when they don't have the autism. So first one, the feeding habit, and they have the autism. The second group, the feeding habit, or what the infant is fed, and there is no autism. So first one, if you look at this one, okay, so we're looking for yes. And the breastfeeding, you have 10 here in the data. So when you draw the diagram, okay, when you draw the diagram, that is what it will be. Second, we have 38. So now the next column, you can connect, that's totally fine. So you can go up to 38 like this, all the way up there. Okay, a little bit below 40. So that will be 38, like that. So that is for 38. Let me erase this a little bit. You can write those numbers so that it's clear to understand. Third one, you can see when you are filling a formula without these, you have 64. Okay, so the third bar, maybe that is the tall one here, a little bit above 60 because you have to go up to 64, like that. 64. Okay. So that is what an infant is fed and when they have autism. That is the first group. Now the second group is what an infant is fed and when there is no autism. So we're going to repeat the process. When no autism and you have the best breastfeeding here, you have 10. So let's do that like this. This is 10. Next, feeding with these two, and there is no autism, we have 22. So we have to draw a bar of height 22. Say that is 22. And the third one is formula without DHA or ARA, and there is no autism, you have 10 of them again. 10, like that. So you can clearly see what we have done here is we have completely drawn the bar diagram to represent these two groups. So we are representing both groups of qualitative data here in the diagram. And this type of diagram that is created, it is called the side-by-side bar chart. So that's how we can analyze the relationship between two variables and create a diagram to represent that. I hope this is helpful. Thank you for watching.